Imagine this, a lone wanderer standing on a frozen mountain peak. He's watching the sun, this ancient sun of what he calls super-earthly hopes, as it just sinks into a sea of forgotten myths. And on the wind, he can hear these whispers, whispers from the poisoners. You know, the ones who promise you some distant heaven while the very ground under your feet just withers away from neglect. Today, we're diving into the philosopher's Zarathustra's urgent warning against this incredibly seductive, yet oh so dangerous, poison. Wow. Those are some heavy words, right? What kind of belief could possibly make someone a despiser of life? What philosophy earns such a harsh label? Well, Zarathustra says it's any belief system that asks you, that begs you to look away from the world right in front of you, away from the one life you're living, right here, right now. So let's pull back the curtain a little on this whole philosophical drama. The scene is a world that's just captivated by a fading promise way up in the sky. It's a world that has started to turn its gaze away from itself, looking toward a hope that kind of drains all the color out of the here and now. And this image, this picture is so important. That setting sun, it's not just a sunset. Nope. It represents the slow death of old values that put all meaning somewhere else, somewhere other than here. And as it fades, what rolls in? A heavy fog of nihilism. You know, that chilling feeling that if that other world isn't real, then maybe nothing matters at all. Okay, so let's get specific. What exactly are these super-earthly hopes? Really, it's any system of belief that treats this life like it's just a temporary hallway to some better room. It's the idea that our real home, our true purpose, is somewhere else entirely. The danger, and this is what Zarathustra saw, isn't really about spirituality itself. It's about the devaluing of our present, physical existence. And when you devalue the ground you stand on, you get the first tragic result. By betraying the earth, we end up neglecting the very architecture of our own souls. I mean, think about it. When we spend all our time staring at a horizon that doesn't even exist, we forget to build anything real, anything worthwhile, right where we are. That creative fire inside us, it just gets snuffed out, leaving this cold, empty vacuum. So why is this promise so poisonous? Because what the poisoners are really offering is a cure for life itself. Zarathustra saw 3 core dangers in this, 3 ways these otherworldly hopes make us weaker and smaller. Let's break them down. First up, it devalues earthly life. Your body becomes a temporary prison, not a sacred temple, and all the struggles we face are just things to be endured, not embraced. Second, it offers an escape. Look, life is messy. It's tough. These hopes offer a safe harbor from all that, like an anesthetic against the growing pains we absolutely need. And third, it just cripples our potential. Why would you strive to master yourself when you can just wait for salvation? That core drive to grow, what Nietzsche called the will to power, it gets smothered by this outside authority. What's so great about this slide is how clearly it lays out the choice before us. You've got the super earthly path, which leads to stagnation. You run from challenges, you wait for someone else to save you, and you live your life based on a meaning someone just handed to you. But then there's the earthly path, Zarathustra's path. And that's all about facing struggles head-on, to grow, actively mastering yourself, and this is the big one, creating your own meaning. And this quote just nails the tragedy at the heart of the poisoner's promise. It's a bad trade. You're trading the real for the unreal. You're giving up the living, breathing, vibrant experience of right now for some pale, ghostly promise of a future that, let's be honest, might never even come. So, what happens if we reject that poisonous promise? What's the alternative? Well, Zarathustra doesn't offer us safety. Not at all. He offers something way more challenging, and, because of that, way more rewarding, a dangerous crossing. And this is the question he puts directly to us. What do you choose? The safe harbor where you're protected from the chaos of reality, sure, but you never really test your own strength. Or do you choose the raging sea, where you have to learn to master the struggle and navigate your own course? This might be one of the most powerful metaphors in all of philosophy. Humanity isn't some finished product. We are a rope, a bridge stretched between the animal we once were and the overman we could become. The crucial point here is that our purpose isn't waiting for us at either end of that rope. No, it's found in the terrifying, exhilarating act of crossing it. The meaning is in the struggle, in the becoming. Okay, so we've identified the poison, we've seen the alternative, but how do we actually walk this rope? What tools does Zarathustra give us to become the creators of our own destiny? This famous phrase, which is so often misunderstood, is the key. For Zarathustra, the death of God, which really means the collapse of all those super earthly hopes, isn't a cause for despair. It's a moment of incredible liberation. It's the moment humanity is finally cut free from some external boss and handed the awesome, terrifying responsibility of creating its own values. So the path of the creator has 4 basic steps. First, you gotta face the abyss. Accept that there are no guarantees. Second, embrace your inner chaos. Use your struggles as creative fuel. Third, forge new values. You have to write your own rules on new tables. And finally, you have to will your life. This means loving your life so completely that you'd be willing to live it over and over and over again, exactly as it is. That's the challenge of eternal recurrence, where you transform your past from it was into thus I willed it. Man, I love this line. It's just such a beautiful reminder that real creation, real greatness, it doesn't come from some place of perfect peace and order. It's born from the messy, turbulent, chaotic energy inside of us. You have to face your own inner storms if you want to create something as brilliant as a dancing star. So as we start to wrap this up, we come back to Zarathustra's core command, and he gives us 2 guides, the eagle, which represents pride, and the serpent, which represents wisdom. They're telling us to walk with our heads held high, but to always keep our feet planted firmly on the earth. And this slide, it lays out the final stakes. It's as clear as it gets. The path of the poisoners, it leads to a small, diminished humanity, living a life of shallow, borrowed meaning, and ultimately walking straight into what Zarathustra calls the grave of the future. His path, though, it's harder, for sure, but it leads to the realization of your highest self, a life of deep, created purpose, and becoming the very meaning of the earth. And here it is, the ultimate affirmation. The Superman, or the Übermensch, is not some comic book hero in a cape. It's the human being who has overcome themselves, the person who has mastered their inner chaos to create their own values and who truly loves their fate. This ideal, this potential that is inside all of us to find our entire purpose right here on this earth, that is the ultimate antidote to the poison of super earthly hopes.
And so Zarathustra's warning just echoes through time, and it leaves us with a question. Not for some old philosopher, but for each of us, right now. Which path are you going to choose? Will you settle for a promise of another world, or will you take on the dangerous, beautiful task of creating meaning in this one? The grave of the future, or the dawn of your highest self?